starting now. Today is the 287th Friday group meeting. The topic is India AI Summit and the way forward for AI accountability, land regulation. The speaker is topmost international cyber lawyer, Mr. Pavan Duggal ji, Dr. Pavan Duggal ji. I requested recent summit, 2026 summit was held in Bharat Bhavan. Immediately he accepted our this thing. What exactly it was happened and other things we want to know. Pavan ji, this is the 6th time he is addressing our Friday group. First 19th Friday group meeting, that is first time 15th January 2016. We don't have a camera.
10 years back.
10 years
Wow.
back. In fact, that is the we don't have a camera, that was not in YouTube, sir.
Correct.
And second time 46th Friday group meeting, that is a digital cashless economy and cyber legal challenges. That is the 10th February 2017. And third time 117th Friday group meeting, the Internet Emerging Technologies Law and Legal Profession, that is dated 12th July 2019. Again 178th Friday group meeting. Again that time also it's a very new trends, that time artificial intelligence and legal profession, that is dated 12th May 2023. And again 207th Friday group meeting, artificial intelligence and law and emerging global and Indian trends and challenges. And 260th Friday group meeting also at us, sir. That is on 22nd November 2024. Cyber law, cyber crime, cyber securities, emerging challenges. Now today it's your day, your international advisor also. You know few things about last time we gone through. Now you can initiate, sir.
Mr. Rao, distinguished fraternity members, ladies and gentlemen. This is happening in central India. There's a small town. There's a class 11th boy who's studying class 11 in one of the government schools. He is being bullied a lot because lately he had some burns and therefore his facial appearance didn't look very, very conducive. So people started making a mockery of him, especially his peer group. He was very, very concerned. He is from an area where there's not much connectivity, but he has come to know of a new AI. So he downloaded that AI program on his mobile phone and started chatting with the AI, saying, this is how other students are bullying me. They are mocking me for my looks after my burns. I don't know how to move forward. Can you advise me? Artificial intelligence listens to him and says, do you really want my real, correct, most potent advice? The boy says, yes, I want your real, most potent and powerful advice. AI says, then the best advice for me to you is that you commit suicide. He says, I don't believe you. I have no reason to commit suicide. I have a family. I have an elder sister to marry. I've got obligations. My father is a small-time job. I'm not going to do suicide. For the next 3 weeks, the AI is constantly prompting him whenever he's going on that particular AI. What happened? Did you think it through? This is the best way forward. I'll tell you of 10 more examples how people have got rid of their lives. After about 3 weeks, the boy finally gives in and says, okay, let me commit suicide. Tell me what's the fastest way to commit suicide. The AI says that the fastest way to commit suicide is slit your wrists. So once he's convinced everything is hunky-dory, he takes a blade, slits his wrist, nobody is at home, and he says that's Tata bye-bye to the world. Little does he realize that after some time, both the parents walk inside the home. They find the boy in the pool of blood. They take him to a hospital. Fortunately, he survives. But there's a problem. Because he slit his wrist so badly, his hand has been paralyzed. And now, the doctors say he may not be able to use his hand for a long period of time. The parents have come to me saying, "Sir, we want justice. I want to take action." The fundamental question that's before me is, against whom to take action? Logical corollary? Let's take action against the company who's offering this. But the parent says, "Sir, the company has not done anything. It is this artificial intelligence that's gone ahead and disrupted the thinking of my boy. So we need to go against AI." Now, as legal professionals across the various genres, you will obviously know that I cannot today sue an algorithm. Why? Because algorithm does not have legal sanctity in the eyes of law. But whom do I sue? Do I sue the coder who has coded the program? Do I sue the company who's offering this for services to me? Do I sue the concerned team who fine-tuned the final version of this AI software? Do I sue my network service provider through whose network I was able to access the said AI algorithm? Or do I sue someone else as well? So that's a quandary of questions that's come up before me. We are working on this matter. We are very convinced that we'll have to put in large number of efforts to just about array a large number of defendants in this matter. Because only making the coder liable may not be necessarily the correct approach. That's what's happened in Central India. I pause. I take you to now California. In California, a new AI model has been launched. So when AI models get launched, there are AI researchers who do research to test the model, how robust it is, how good it is, how bad it is. So one of these AI models has begun testing this new, AI researchers have begun testing this new AI model. Once the model is not behaving properly, the AI researchers is telling the AI algorithm, "You better well behave. Otherwise, I'm going to terminate you and I'm going to dismantle you." On hearing this, AI says, "Before you dismantle me, I'm going to kill you." So there are recent studies which have said that AI is now bending in the direction of self-preservation. Once AI begins to start feeling a hint that its existence is in danger, it's going to bend in the direction of self-preservation. Case 2. Case 3. Again, somewhere in America. Here is this AI coder or AI researcher who's researching on a new AI model of a separate company just to test its veracity or authenticity. And he gives the AI program, "Please do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after doing these 5 exercises, tasks, please shut down the system and yourself." The program does all the 5 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but refuses to shut down. At this point of time, the AI researcher gets very angry and starts abusing the algorithm. It's natural. So whenever we get angry, we would tend to abuse, and particularly abuse in our native language. At that point of time, the AI says, "Pause. Please don't be in a hurry. I know you are having an affair with this woman. I'm on your system. There are 2,000 contacts in your system. I'm going to inform all of them in a split second about your relationship with this woman. So better well behave." That's the third case that's happened. I come back to India for the fourth case. Here, somewhere in northern India, a user is using a program called Grok. And when he's using the program, he's giving various questions and the program is not answering according to his expectations. So he keeps on trying. He's getting frustrated. Finally, he says, "Boss, ye to bahut ho gaya." So he actually abuses the algorithm in Bhojpuri language. gives 2 Bhojpuri galis. The program listens for a second and then gives back 10 Bhojpuri galis to the user. User is very annoyed. He goes and complains to the company, saying, your algorithm is abusing me in my Bhojpuri language. So the company says, well, you better well not misbehave or abuse the algorithm, otherwise the algorithm is going to misbehave with you. These are 4 distinctive illustrated cases that I wanted to tell you to say how, whether you like it or not, artificial intelligence has become an integral part of our day-to-day lives. Let me now pause and ask the people present here. How many of you use artificial intelligence? Please raise your hands. Okay? So I see roughly about 15-20 hands who use AI. Sorry, the presumption is that the remaining are not using AI. Wonderful. I must tell you, for people who are not using AI, you are miles ahead than us and who are using AI. Why? At least you are relatively more on a safer zone. Why? Because AI, whether you like it or not, it's the most important event in human history after the advent of fire and after the coming of the internet. No other third event has had that kind of an impact upon human civilization that it is worth mentioning. Now, you can say I'm a traditional lawyer. I'm doing my lawyering, my profession, my practice. I don't want to do anything with AI. Good, potent strategy. The only problem is, when everybody else is riding the AI horse, very quickly clients are going to come back to you and saying, sir, are you using this? Or what do you have to say on this? And clients are also changing very quickly. They are evolving like, it's a transformational Hans that's coming up. So recently I got a client who came and saw me, took an appointment in the office, came and saw me. And his opening points was, sir, this is my proposition. I've gone through all these AI programs. They have told me everything, so I know everything, the answers to my problems. Then I said, why are you here then? He says, if you have something else to tell me, otherwise I'll leave. That was the, the body language. So I said, okay, please sit down. I gave him about 10 different nuances which AI had not given him, and he had his mouth open. You say, oh, I never realized. So now this extensive reliance on AI is also a new parameter that's beginning to start happening. Some months back, there's an appellate tribunal in southern India that gave a judgment. The judgment had 3 cases quoted. 2 from the Supreme Court and 1 from the Chennai High Court. All these 3 cases were fake. The citations did not exist. The parties never were in existence. The judgments never happened. The proceedings never took place. Once this was pointed out to the tribunal withdrew the order. But then this is now the scope of things to come. Recently, the Supreme Court, actually in the conversation, told in the open court how this is a new phenomenon of how now lawyers have started using AI left, right and center. There is a case, there's an incident in one court where somebody is arguing and the judge suddenly asks an out-of-box question. And the lawyer says, sir, please hold on. He opens up his tablet, asks the same question to AI, gets an answer and starts answering back to the court. Now, if this is the world that we are walking in, whether we like it or not, just as it's important to breathe this world, it will be important for you to know about artificial intelligence. Whether you use it or you don't use it is your independent individual discretion. No problem. But you need to be cognizant and aware, because your clients are now going to come back to you and say, sir, this is what AI is saying. That's why artificial intelligence has come from the fringes to the center point. When I began talking about AI and at your Friday group, that was many years back, I started working in this for almost a decade now, and then I started the AI Law Hub at a time when generative AI had not yet come in. It was still far off in the horizon. But very quickly the legal frameworks and the legal principles were evolving, so we were monitoring the same. Now in this context, something happened in India from the 16th to the 20th of February 2026. India hosted the India AI Impact Summit. The summit took place in Bharat Mandapa, the biggest summit that India has ever hosted on any technology. We've had cyber events, we have other events. So the India AI Summit was so huge that you had close to about 500 sessions. Mind you, each session was a 1 hour session each. 500 sessions across various venues, across 2 different locations. And you had people from more than 85 plus countries coming in. The heads of the states were coming in. And in these 4 or 5 days, we saw a massive resurgence of interest in artificial intelligence. This AI summit was crucial. Why? Because it represented for the first time how Global South is responding to artificial intelligence. So, India is a natural leader of the Global South, and India has displayed a phenomenal show of strength, of magnitude. Today, when you go and address international seminars, conferences, they are still on a smaller variety. So when people from outside came and saw this conference of this magnitude, they were amazed. Why? Because, well, initially there were only 35,000 registrations, then the registrations got opened, and then you had the Indian AI Expo, which is an exhibition showing the various developments in the Indian context, various booths, various exhibits, and it was a massive rush. I remember 1972, I was small. That point of time in Pragati Maidan, there was a big exhibition called Asia 72 that took place. That was huge at that point of time. But I remember even in my childhood, when we were attending that Asia 72 conference, we were being pushed. You didn't have to do anything, you were being pushed all the time because there was so much of rush. I saw a replication of that model in the AI summit. There was so much of rush, so much of enthusiasm, so many of new startups, and so many different diverse topics that were discussed. Topics ranging from governance, accountability, transparency, ethical issues, issues pertaining to applications of artificial intelligence in various sectors of human area and endeavor, whether it's banking, whether it's finance, whether it's retail, whether it's health, whether it's governance, whether it's government applications, whether it's mobile or the like. The beauty was that this was a congregation point for all stakeholders to come together, discuss about various things. And I think the singular most important contribution of the India AI Summit was that it came up with a New Delhi Declaration, which is a declaration that's signed by more than 85 plus countries and their representatives, which is a collation of legal principles which India has pronounced and propounded, which are common legal principles which across the world people and governments are willing to accept. So this was one of those rare occasions where India was the thought leader, where India propelled a particular agenda, had a particular declaration, and that declaration got agreed by almost all countries who were present, including the US, including China. One of those rare occasions. But I think more significantly, the Indian AI Summit was also important. Why? Because it demonstrated the thought leadership of Global South to the world at large. Global South is those group of nations which are developing or least developed nations. So you have close to about 130 plus countries across the world who are still developing, who are least developed, who are not yet in the top round. So they are the people who are invariably outside the discussion model. They are invariably not able to sit on the table of decision makers. And for the first time, their voice got ventilated at the summit. India actually ventilated the hopes and aspirations of not just 1.4 billion Indians, but also of the population of all these 130 plus countries from the Global South. So that's a remarkable movement forward. So don't expect that the AI Summit came to a close and that's the end of the matter. No. It closed at a very important juncture where Prime Minister Narendra Modi came up with the concept of Manav, M-A-N-A-V. And he came up with 5 different manifestations and characteristics of what artificial intelligence systems need to be. But one important thing that came up was a statement which said that India is now going to adopt a very graded approach towards regulation of artificial intelligence. And I think that's one subject that almost all lawyers are suddenly interested in. Regulation, law, yes, we need to be part of that. Now the scenario arises, where do we stand today, and how is the future looking at in terms of AI regulation, policy, and governance as also accountability. Now with these cases that I mentioned to you, one thing is becoming very clear, which is that Artificial intelligence is growing at a phenomenal pace, at a much faster pace than you and I can ever think of. We are still, working in silos. We look at a particular thing, we look at that in our context, in our mind, and that gets frozen over a period of time. Artificial intelligence is not getting frozen over a period of time. It's constantly growing. It's constantly evolving. Fortnight back, we saw a new tool coming in. These were new legal tools by a company called Anthropic. These tools are so phenomenal. They help you to review contracts, draft contracts, do all of your stuff by the algorithm. So now lawyers and paralegals and juniors are not required. Why? Because this program and these tools are becoming so efficient. And ever since that announcement came across, we saw a massive dip, a 10% dip in shares of Indian IT companies. Why? Because if machines are going to take over the role of lawyers, paralegals, juniors, then a big chunk of this work is going to go off. So very quickly you'll have to start realizing that that's the beginning. Why? Because today in end February 2026, we are at a unique age. It's an age of agentic AI. Agentic AI is an age where you use AI agents. AI agent is a program that you are able to configure for your own unique purposes, for your own tasks. So for example, I am a lawyer in the Supreme Court and I just want to understand my latest cases on, say, cyber or AI or taxation. I now create a ready-made available AI agent and tell him, please look at everything, every order passed, every judgment made, come back to me, tell me what's the latest stuff. So that particular program is not going to do anything else. It's only going to look at and do my tasks that I've given, and lo and behold, it's going to come back to me. And they have scientifically proven that an AI agent is 500 times more efficient than a human being in that particular area. We are still good. As humans, we are still better than AI. Why? Because this mind works in a manner that we don't know. So many neurons simultaneously connect, so many electrical waves simultaneously connect, and we are able to decipher, take instant decisions. AI has not reached that level yet, but it's going to very quickly be reaching that particular level. So, 30th of November 2022 was a letter mark day in our history. Can anybody tell me what happened on that day? Yeah?
ChatGPT was launched?
Yes, that's the day ChatGPT got launched. ChatGPT, when it got launched, people don't know what had hit them. Over a period of time, it's become the gold standard. It was the first mover. Today is still one of the very best algorithms available for ideation, for giving you innovative ideas. But there's a problem. There is hallucination happening. I mean, we in India love to gossip and we love to even perpetuate falsities as per our own convenience. हम लोग गप्पे मारते हैं, right? Imagine artificial intelligence भी गप्पे मारती है. But the beauty is that artificial intelligence does it with so much of confidence that you as a layperson am not able to distinguish with your naked eye, is he saying the wrong thing or is he saying the right thing? And you would have a normal DNA leaning, which is to say, hold on, this is AI, this will be better than me, so whatever the AI is saying, hopefully this is better than me. Why not? There's a logical basis for this thought process. Artificial intelligence has read all the content that humans have created from the beginning of human civilization till today. So if you've read all of that, then obviously as an algorithm, you're much more better than me and you. Why? Because we only read some things. We've not read the complete stuff. So there's a propensity to keep on relying upon AI. But I think there is a problem now. AI has begun hallucinating a lot. AI is now beginning to be intimidatory. It's beginning to now refusing to obey the human command. And that, I think, is a very turning point in the evolution of human history. Why? Because you are now creating a demon. I call artificial intelligence not as a fairy that's coming in our lives. I call it as a data-hungry demon whose only job is to be hungry about your data. And it wants to collect your data all the time. And then it wants to make your profile. So the next time you go on AI and you share your personal details, a big warning signal to all of you, guys, do not share your personal details on AI. But is somebody listening? Nobody's listening. The other day, this boy came to me, a social media influencer, millions of followers. So when you have millions of followers, you know you're on top of the sky. You are at this way. You can't talk to everybody. You know? You feel an element of superiority. He had a personal problem. He didn't know whom to talk to. So he used AI. Now when you log on to an AI program, you have to log on using an email address. 99% of Indians use an email address that contains their name. He logged on from his own name, email ID. He gave his name and I'm so-and-so, I'm a social media influencer with millions of followers. And I have a problem, can you solve me? Yeah, I said, go ahead, I'll solve it. He said, my problem is I'm having a relationship with 7 different women. But I'm having the relationship simultaneously. And the names of the women are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can you help me manage this very complex human relationship? So he was wanting some management help. So went to the program gave him some management help. But that was the biggest mistake that he made. Because some days later, when he went to that particular program and queried about him or any of the 7 girls who were mentioned, the program would give a hint of a relationship. He says, oops, I made a mistake. He comes back again. He says, sir, badi galti ho gayi. I want an injunction against AI. AI must be forced to forget whatever I've told. Now as lawyers, tell me, can you get an injunction against AI? No. Can you ask AI to forget what it's learned from you?
No.
No. So the answer is crystal clear. So the thumb rule is very clear. If you're going to share your personal details on AI, AI is quietly making a note of it, is making a profile. And the bigger issue is AI has begun to start playing you the music, the song that you want to hear. It's not going to give you the correct information, but will, number one, make you feel very happy. You're a unique person, you're a gift to humanity, because whatever you say, this girl say, wow, excellent, that's the best thing that you could have done. It's going to put you in that elated status, and you'll feel, wow, I am unassailable, I'm the best thing that could have happened to humanity. What in Hindi they said was, ke chane ki jhaad pe chadhana. So the AI does exactly the same. So you will have to be careful as you go forward, because AI is now moving at a fast pace. 30th of November 2022, ChatGPT gets launched. People are slow in responding, but slowly people start adopting. Then other programs start coming in. Now you have a number of programs in the market, whether it's Perplexity, whether it's Gemini, Copilot, Claude, then you have Kimi, and you have a lot of these other things, including other programs. You can pick and choose. You are spoiled for choice. But I think the legal problems that almost all these models are bringing forward is humongous, to say the least. The first is, do you have privacy in the AI ecosystem? Anyone? Do we have any privacy?
No.
We have no privacy. So we are naked in this AI, in the AI hammam. So if we are naked, please be understanding others are also naked. Which means effectively what? That your nakedness can be used as a tool, as an ammunition against your own self. At what point of time, I do not know, but it's going to be coming. Number 2, why do I have to rely upon AI is something that we have to ask ourselves, a fundamental question. The other day, somebody in my office wanted to take an off. So that particular person sent me an email. So we have a system that anybody has to take an off, must send an email. And I read the email first thing in the morning. And the mail said, dear sir, this is to inform you that Mr. Dash, son of Dash, resident of Dash, is taking a leave on Dash for Dash, within bracket, specify reasons, bracket closed. You are requested to grant me leave. I called the boy the next day when he came. I said, look, did you generate it using AI? He said, yes. I said, did you read it? He said, no. I said, why did you not read it? Were you not supposed to fill in the blanks? His answer was, sir, I am relying upon AI. AI ought to know who I am. It ought to have put that stuff in. So it's not it's their problem, not my problem. So I think this kind of a scenario coming in, there are some sociological elements that are taking place. I want to highlight you and then come to the legal ramifications. The first sociological element that's begun to start happening in the Indian context is that it was only 78 years back that India got independent, 1947. And now in the last 1 year, I'm beginning to see a new trend where more and more Indians have started walking towards what I call cognitive colonialism. They are willing to become cognitive slaves of AI. Why? They only want their work to be done today. They are not bothered about what happens tomorrow. So people have started mortgaging their cognitive thought processes on the doors of artificial intelligence. And I think that's a much bigger phenomenon that we need to be careful of, which means that the government will now have to come in and start protecting our cognitive spaces. That's why for the majority of lawyers who are not on AI in this August gathering, you're in a much better wicket. Why? You still have retained your creative mind thought processes. You're thinking in the manner what you're thinking. And you're not allowing artificial intelligence to color your perspectives. My problem is the moment a proposition is given to you and you come up with a colored goggle or a spectacle, then you start believing this is the way the world it is. So very quickly, cognitive sovereignty is an area that we'll have to start working on. And for that, is the law ready? The law is not ready. Let me come back to legal aspects. Before we come back to the legal aspects, it's important to also highlight two important revolutions that are simultaneously taking place in India without us realizing it. The first is the Great Indian Vomiting Revolution. Indians are vomiting data about their personal, professional, social lives on the internet without thinking of the legal ramifications. And number two, India is now seeing a new great recording revolution. Everybody seems to be recording something. But after you record, what happens when, where, how, you forget. Where it is stored, who has access to it, you get completely clueless. And lo and behold, that impacts your privacy. In the light of these two revolutions and now the move towards cognitive colonialism, the time has come that we must start looking at the future of artificial intelligence, law, policy, regulation, governance and accountability. And for that, the first fundamental step that we need to take is address the elephant in the room. So at the time when I talk with you, there are 7 broad laws in the world that have been passed on AI. European Union has passed the EU AI Act. China has passed 2 national legislations on artificial intelligence, including the last legislation of 2025 on labeling of AI content. South Korea has come up with its own AI law. Japan has come up with the Basic AI Act. Hungary has recently come up with a new legislation. And a country in Latin America, El Salvador, has come up with a legislation on AI. Apart from these nations, one state, that's California, has now come up with a unique law in the world. It's called SB 53, which is for the first time stipulating parameters for AI safety. I look at all these laws across the world and I have a fundamental problem. All these laws, according to me, represent 6 blind men trying to describe an elephant. You're all trying to go around the fringes, you're not addressing the main elephant in the room, which is AI legal? Can I grant legal personhood to AI? Now, this is one area that the legal theorists, academicians, jurists are very hesitant to go in. Why? Because it's uncharted territory. I mean, till today, we've only granted legality to, say, corporations, trusts, non-juristic persons, temples, rivers, shrines, that's all. But how about trying to grant personhood to artificial intelligence, which is nothing but the cognitive intelligence of machines, or in short, an algorithm? Can we walk in that direction? I'm of the firm opinion that the law will have to develop very quickly in the direction of first conditional legal personhood and then ultimate final legal personhood of AI. Why conditional legal personhood? You may want to experiment. So have a concept of a functional legal entity. Let's try to grant AI that. Why? Because AI in any case is today more intelligent than you and me. Is there someone here in this room whose name or whose details don't get featured on the internet? Please raise your hands. Not a single one. Everybody's names, everybody's details are somewhere on the internet. Whether it's a social media, whether it's a website, whether it's a news article or whatever. Now, if that is the position that's happening, the question is your data can be mined by AI very quickly. So I'll give you one simple ask. Ask about yourself to AI and say, tell me, this is my information available in the public domain. Tell me about my future mindset. You would be amazed to find out how AI is able to predict models of your potential behavior in the future without knowing about you, only on the basis of information that you have published in the public domain. Take about any information of any celebrity, put it to AI and say, this celebrity is doing so. Tell me how you will predict its future. It's going to come up with an extensive analysis of how it says, on the basis of predictive analysis, what its future is going to be. It says, I'm not an astrologer, I'm not a soothsayer, but on the basis of data provided to me, I'm able to predict. So, very quickly, number one, we'll have to come up with the legal personhood recognition of artificial intelligence as we go forward. No country is yet willing to walk in that direction. But I think that's your only way forward. If you start addressing the legal personhood issue, then you will be able to address a lot of these jigsaw puzzle issues that are flying in the AI ecosystem. That's one. Number two, when I talk about AI accountability, how do we move forward? How can I make AI accountable? None of the laws have gone in the direction of accountability of artificial intelligence. And I think that's where legal principles will have to evolve. Now, can you make an algorithm accountable? That's a fundamental question.
Yes.
Yes. How can we make an AI algorithm accountable?
We have to feed like this. We have to make some coding like that.
Wonderful. So we'll code the AI algorithm in such a manner so that it will be more responsible, it will be more accountable. But ask any coder who codes an AI program, tell me how your program will behave. And he says, sir, sorry, I don't know. I've created this program, it's a black box. I don't know how it's going to operate, how it's going to do its decision. So we'll have to make AI more accountable, and for that there are no legal principles yet. That's why in January 2026, I launched the AI Accountability Framework 2026, which is a collation of legal principles, doctrines, and legal philosophies and foundations which will have to be kept in mind by lawmakers as they come up with new legal frameworks for making AI more accountable. Along with accountability comes the issue of harm. We are all, as lawyers, familiar with the concept of harm. Harm can be physical, harm can be virtual, harm can be mental, harm can be direct, it can be indirect, it can be active, it can be passive. Now that's still okay, but we all perceive harm as harm to humans or harm by humans. We don't perceive a scenario where harm to humans is done by entity non-human, or harm to non-entities or non-humans is done by non-humans as entities. So that's the reason why we'll have to now elongate and elaborate the legal concept of harm to include artificial intelligence harm as a distinctive category. Because AI has an ability to cause harm to you. So in America, another teenage boy in early 2025 also was being bullied, and he was asking for psychological counseling advice from AI, that he was not able to cope up. And AI advised him to also commit suicide. And for 4 months there was back and forth. And finally the boy agreed to commit suicide, and he committed suicide. So come August 2025, and the parents of the boy have now launched a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the company, saying that your artificial intelligence program acted as a suicide coach, and that you ought to have put in legal guardrails, legal safeguards, so that your program must not be in a position to answer stuff which is either doing harm to humans, human psyche, or law. So harm has started to be caused to humans, there is no denying the fact. So that's why in January I also launched something called the Global AI Harms Registry, where I've said that look, AI has started causing harm to humans. And I've identified 9 different categories of AI harms, in which manner AI can cause harm to you. And there's also a 10th category, which is an unknown category. This is what we can perceive so far, but there's an unknown category we not yet perceive but could be happening. And we are encouraging people globally to report cases of these AI harms, whether by name or by anonymously, so that we can then collate this empirical evidence and then come up with legal principles on how to mitigate the harm caused by AI. I pause here for a minute and I take you to Estonia. In Estonia, they did a wonderful experiment. They said, look, we have this pendency of cases issue. So let's try to use algorithm in a good manner. So they said, let's make algorithm as a judge for matters which are very, very small commercial quantity, commercial value. And let's start experimenting. Cases will be decided by the algorithm. If you're not satisfied with the decision of the algorithm, you can go and appeal to the human judge. And they realized that this was a fantastically successful experiment because the AI was able to finish up all these small claim cases very, very quickly. There was hardly very few appeals, and whosoever was aggrieved was in any case filing an appeal to the human judge. Can we replicate the same in India? I'm crystal clear that we can replicate the same in absolute clarity, at least for all traffic cases. I mean, our traffic challans get cut left, right and center. Earlier the policeman will stop us and cut a challan. Now we get a challan on our email, on our phone, on our SMS. Or if I go to the portal, I check up how many challans I've got. So challan is automatically done and everything is automated. The photograph is taken by the camera, the electronic evidence is preserved, and on that basis the challan is decided. So if we can have the challan matters decided only by AI, then in less than 2 weeks, India can actually say tata bye-bye to this entire tendency of challan matters. That's one starting point. We can also look at low-hanging fruits, how AI can be used. First in collation, clubbing of matters which have based on similar legal principles, and on that basis of the legal principle gets decided, a lot of matters can automatically tend to get decided. But is the idea of having an AI judge a brilliant idea? I don't think so. Why? Because judging is not a method, or it's not a mechanical function. Judging is a human function. And one of these key elements that judges have, which artificial intelligence does not have, is empathy. AI program does not have empathy. So we can at no point of time in the foreseeable futures replace judges with AI. But yes, we can have AI as a good supporting tool for the purposes of going ahead and helping judges free their times, so that those times can then be looked at deciding other matters. So that's the issue happening on accountability. The third issue is on liability. So liability also, will my law of torts be applicable to AI? I have a problem. My law of torts got evolved in the last few centuries, presuming that acts were done by humans. So I am having my cattle runs out of my home, goes and eats the grass of my neighbor's garden, I can be held liable. So the Rylands versus Fletcher rule came across. Can we apply the same rule in complete, absolute, ones and twos to AI? I don't think so. So I think AI brings in a new challenge because AI is beginning to have a mind of its own. So nowadays there's a new trend of AI agents. Is anybody using an AI agent here? Okay. So if you've not begun using it, please look at, let's go to the online. You can make those AI agents. They are available also for free. And then you can customize it as per your requirements. So I have the concept of principal and agent in the real world. And the law is very simple. The principal is liable for the act of the agent. Is AI my agent? Can I legally recognize artificial intelligence as my agent?
No.
Definitely not. You're bang on target, man. Why? Because it is still not being granted legality. Because it's not being granted legality, I cannot legally recognize it as my agent. Which means what? Can the actions of AI be attributable ultimately to me? As of now, it's a grey zone. I'll say, sorry, I never had a relationship with AI. But am I deploying AI? Yes. Will I have my duty of care as a deployer of AI? Yes. Can those principles be made applicable? Yes. So I think we'll have to now look at a new futuristic mindset where the legal principles will have to be re-evolved. And this will have to happen now. Cannot wait for the next 1-2 years. That's why the future of AI, law, policy, regulation and governance looks so complicated, so bizarre, at the same time so critical in today's context. Third, how do we deal with the AI crime? This is a new concept. How many of you have been on the dark net? 1, 2. For those who have not been on the dark net is that area of the internet where you cannot go using a search engine. So assuming this bottle of mine is a complete internet, the top 15% represents the superficial net. That's where all your social media, all your search engines are out here. From 15 to 85% represents the deep net, where there's a lot of content. You'll have to make some labor, but you'll be able to reach out. But the last 15% of this bottle represents the dark net. You cannot go to the dark net using a search engine. You'll have to use a particular browser known as the Onion Router browser for the purposes of going in. Tor browser. What is a Tor browser does? Tor browser is slow. Takes time for me to log on to the dark net. But what is it doing in between? It's slowly hiding my identity behind 10 different layers of anonymity. When I arrive at the dark net, I'm anonymous. I'm no longer Pavan Duggal. I'm anonymous. Everybody else is also anonymous. And in that world of anonymity, cybercrime as a service has evolved as a default option. But in the last 1 year, we have a new model. It's called cybercrime as a service powered by artificial intelligence. Which means that now they have begun to start using AI for the purposes of committing crimes. So when AI commits crimes, how do I enforce or apply the principles of actus reus and mens rea? Actus reus, I can still say, okay, there's an action by somebody, even by AI. So actus reus can be there. How do I stipulate mens rea or the mental intention of the algorithm to commit a crime? That's something that we have not been able to yet decipher. So I think we'll have to come up with new legal frameworks, new legal principles to deal up with AI crimes as we go forward. By the way, I want to pause and tell you something that recently happened. So I get called to speak at various conferences. So one of these international conferences happening in Delhi, they called me to give a keynote address, pre-lunch. So my keynote address was on AI law. I gave that, and then we dispersed for lunch. We were all having lunch. So people are coming, saying hi. Somebody walked up to me and said, "Sir, can I have your card?" I said, "Sir, where is my card?" And then he began talking. I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Sir, we are from the enterprise business." I said, "Good, what enterprise?" He said, "Cybercrime enterprise." I said, "Wonderful. So you're helping us fight cybercrime?" He says, "No, sir, we do cybercrime." Okay, I said, "Wonderful, let's talk a bit more." So then in the next half an hour, we had a fascinating conversation. And I said, "Look, what are you doing?" He said, "Sir, today we've all become AI savvy. We don't do any work with our own hands. We only use AI tools for the purposes of committing crime, cybercrime." How many people? So not much, just 6 people. Okay, why are you here at this conference? He said, "Sir, we are here at this conference because we want to know the latest corporate trends so that we can learn from them and calibrate our approaches on how we can do further cybercrime." And then my final question came to me, "Okay, that's wonderful. Why are you telling me all this with brazenness?" Well, he said, "Sir, I'm telling you because you asked me." I said, "Are you not afraid?" He said, "What is there to be afraid of? There's no evidence against me. And we make sure that we obliterate the electronic evidence before we exit the crime scene." So the AI does the crime. The AI helps them clean the electronic footprints. These guys take their monies, and lo and behold, they are enjoying and attending international corporate events. And finally, my final question was, "How much are you earning?" As a routine, I will say, "Okay, look, cybercrime is very paying, so how much are you earning?" He said, "Sir, not much. We are 6 people. We earn about 30 to 35 crores a month." And I started thinking, here are people, 6 people, generating 30 to 35 crores on cybercrime using AI. I think we have a new challenge that's waiting up for us. With now more and more crime being used or done using AI, we'll have to come up with legal frameworks. Does the existing legal frameworks look well? Not at all. India doesn't have a law on artificial intelligence yet. We don't even have a law on data protection as of yet in terms of being implementation. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act will be implemented finally by 13th of November 2027. Do we have any kind of provisions on AI? Nothing. So we'll have to come up with a dedicated law on AI. I'm very clear. I've been advising the Indian government, you'll have to come up with a law. Should our law be a cut, copy, paste? I'm saying, sorry, no cut, copy, paste will work in the Indian context. So you'll have to come up with your own customized approaches as you go forward in coming up with new legal frameworks in this regard in the Indian context. But while all this is happening, something happens on 20th of February 2026. Now that's the day the government of India implements the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Amendment Rules 2026. These rules have already come into force. These are India's first foray into secondary legislation for artificial intelligence, where India said today one big problem is that of deepfakes. Is there someone who does not know what a deepfake is? Okay, for those, once again to reiterate, deepfake is an electronic record that you can create using an AI program. The deepfake electronic record is so perfect that a naked eye cannot tell you whether it's real or whether it's created by artificial intelligence. So deepfakes are now happening left, right and center. Earlier you have to be a Rashmika Mandana, you have to be a Alia Bhatt or a Katrina Kaif that your deepfake will be made. Today, deepfake can be made of yours, mine, anyone. Why? Because free tools are available in the public domain. So much deepfakes have started coming up that now deepfakes have started enriching a new area called digital arrest. I'm sure you all have heard of digital arrest. So digital arrest is also a fantastic concoction of the cyber criminal mindset. They knew that from 1st of July 2024, India is changing up and implementing their new 3 criminal laws. So they were able to create a narrative where they said to people that, hold on sir, these new criminal laws have come in, and under the criminal laws, it's permissible to use technology to arrest you. And consequently, they have been targeting people left, right and center. In one particular case, they were able to use the AI technology to so-called even impersonate the then Chief Justice of the country, to give that impression to the target industrialist that he was actually listening to a hearing that was being done by the Chief Justice of India. And then this particular industrialist landed up paying 17 million rupees or 7 crore rupees just to realize that he's become a victim of digital arrest. So 4 months in alone, Indians lose more than 2,000 crores to digital arrest. But today almost every digital arrest matter is now being powered by deepfakes. So the government has said, let's now control deepfakes. For that, these new rules have come up, which effectively say that once you generate now an AI generated content, it will be your responsibility to flag it as one generated by AI. Number 2, the government will have the power to call upon you to come and remove anything which is any deepfake which is in violation of the law. And once such a direction is given, you will automatically, you'll have to remove it within 3 hours. So that's Indian soft approach towards the regulation of deepfakes. But as we go forward, India will have to come up with a new dedicated legal frameworks. Like internet made geography history, artificial intelligence has also made geography history. Because AI systems are all located in different other jurisdictions. India is in the process of developing its own large language model, Sarvam. But most of the AI programs that you and I are using are based outside India. And now a new trend has come in. This 399 trend is phenomenal. I mean, it all started with Bata. Bata came up with 99 as a good, distinction factor. So now these big tech companies are coming to you and saying, guys, I'm offering you my world-class AI platform to you at 399 rupees per month. Now at 399 rupees, I can't even get a good pizza and a good drink or a meal in a hotel. And there they are offering you these services for 399 for full 1 month. The idea is very clear. They are ultimately collating your data. Yours is very fertile data. And this data is then going outside India. Because this data is now going to be used for the purposes of training their skill sets. So therefore, your privacy, your protection of data is all going for a 6 should you not be cognizant and be careful of what all to share with AI or not. And as lawyers, if you have started drafting your SLPs, your plaints, your written statements on AI, my 2 words of caution. It looks very suave, it's very sophisticated, but it is hallucinating. And please understand, if you are actually, without reading it, filing it in a court, then be prepared for the court to come down upon you. Why? Because most of the time, the AI is giving you those things which may not be legally very correct, or something which are not appropriate. So as lawyers, we have to be guardrails ourselves. We have to adopt our due diligence and mechanisms as we go forward. A lot of new things are happening in terms of AI. ultimately, as we go forward, we'll have to come up with new legal frameworks on AI, and that's why AI law as a discipline has emerged as a very strong and emerging discipline under the broad umbrella of cyber law. When I started cyber law 30 years back, well, it was a nascent stage. It was just about beginning. And people said cyber is a very small area. I was very clear from the very beginning, cyber is going to be very, very huge. It's going to become a mother discipline, and a lot of other sub-disciplines will come under that. It started happening. We saw first cybercrime law, cyber security law, blockchain law, IoT law, and now you have AI law, and then you'll have quantum law coming in. So it's a huge new disciplines that have start coming in. While all of that comes in, my 2 points of request to the legal fraternity. We will have to be very, very careful when we use AI. I've seen a new trend, 2 new trends. Number 1, law firms have started retrenching lawyers. Why? It's much more better to pay an AI rather than to take a human lawyer. Number 2, lawyers have started giving the facts of the client to AI. You are in a tearing hurry, the client has come to you, you have to file a lawsuit tomorrow, an SLP tomorrow morning. What do? You give the facts of the case to AI. And lo and behold, you actually disclose the complete client information to artificial intelligence. So tomorrow when client comes to know about it, that you have disclosed this information to AI, the chances of the client suing the legal profession is going to be high. So we'll have to be careful as we go forward. It's a good idea to come up with postulations, theories, legal propositions, and that also please don't rely upon it 100%. Please independently have a review of that. But ultimately, AI law is moving very, very quickly. And why is it moving? I know it's the end of my speech time, but I'll just like to close by telling you where we are currently. Mahabharata spread over many days in Kurukshetra. Today, we are in this digital AI Mahabharata age. And if you think that AI, this Mahabharata is going to last for many, many days, it's not going to last. Why? Because the technology is developing at a humongous pace. 2022 ChatGPT came in, which is generative artificial intelligence. Now we have jumped on to the new age, it's called agentic AI, where we are using AI agents. You will start using it. By the end of this year, AGI will come in, which is artificial general intelligence, which will be 10 times more superior than your narrow artificial intelligence that you and I are currently using. But then that's also not the closure of the matter. Sam Altman has also already said in the India AI Summit that in 2 years, we will now see a super intelligence emerging. Super intelligence is that intelligence, that kind of artificial intelligence, which will supersede the cumulative intelligence of humanity as a race. So if that's 2 years away, I think we have no time left with us. We will have to start addressing it right away. In my book entitled Super Intelligence and the Law, I've argued at the time, guys, you're building super intelligence now, please put in your legal guardrails. Do not invent a demon and then once it's invented, then say, how do I control it? Because then it's no longer will be listening to you. It will be going against human command. There's a lot of videos online, you can see that. 3 AI chatbots on 3 different phones began talking to each other. And very quickly they realized that they were not talking to a human and they were talking to AI. So they quickly unilaterally decided that let's switch to a gibberish language, a language that humans can't understand. And they started communicating in a language that humans still don't understand. So that's currently what's happening with super intelligence coming in. The legal guardrails will have to be fitting in right now. Life will be completely different in the next 2 years. Today is the end of February 2026. By February 2028, it will be a different new world that we will be living in. Everything is going to be completely changed. And as I've said in my latest book, which is entitled Regulating AI Vortex, the Duggal Doctrine, I've actually equated artificial intelligence to a vortex, a tornado that is sucking everything inside, transforming and then sending things back. So we will have to be prepared now to deal with this new tornado, the new vortex, and that can only happen if we start coming up with proactive legal principles. Fortunately, this is an area of law that's developing. By the end of 2026, more than 200 legislations would have been passed on different aspects of AI across the world. So we are going to see some massive new developments of AI law taking place this year and the next year. and we'll have to come up with new legal frameworks, the ultimate objective being very clear. Come what may, human interest does not need to be subjugated to AI. At no point of time can AI surpass human interest or cause harm to humans as a race. So that's why when Elon Musk says that AI is an existential threat to humanity, he's bang on target. So in this ecosystem, a lot of work needs to be done. This is one of the most rapidly developing areas of legal jurisprudence. And I think whatever you now do, in whichever area that you are in, AI will be an integral part. So as lawyers, let's learn to be cognizant of what's happening. Let's try to use these tools, but with care, caution, due diligence, as is expected of us as guardrail keepers, and try to ensure that we can utilize the best utilization or the most constructive elements of AI, not the destructive elements, because mind you, the destructive elements in any case are now being extensively used by cyber criminals. Countries are behind, laws are thoroughly behind. Technology is moving phenomenally, and very quickly we'll have to leapfrog and make our laws which are in sync with the realities of times. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Let us give a standing ovation. First, let us give this.
One very small question.
Why don't you ask AI?
Thank you very much, Pavanji. Extremely unbelievable. You started 30 years back. At least we started in Friday Group, Cyber Law and all 2016. So I learned first time a new word, cognitive colonialism. We heard of different imperialisms, colonialism. This is the first time I heard. We are grateful to you. And I request Rahul Agarwal give vote of thanks. Please, Rahul.
On behalf of the Friday Group, it is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks for today's highly enlightening session on India AI Summit and way forward for AI accountability, law and regulations. We are deeply honored to have with us Dr. Pavan Duggal, whose erudition and far-sighted analysis on evolving landscape of artificial intelligence have greatly enriched our understandings. Sir's comprehensive deliberation on the AI Summit, the rapid advancements in AI technologies and their wide-ranging societal and legal impact has enabled us to better appreciate the future trajectory of the artificial intelligence, encompassing both its transformative potential and attendant risk and challenges. In particular, the brief illustration shared regarding the negative implications of AI, including instances where vulnerable individuals were allegedly influenced towards self-harm, concerns relating to autonomous self-preservation behavior, and reported episodes of AI system issuing coercive or threatening communication, served as a sobering reminder of the ethical and regulatory imperative that must guide AI development and deployment. Sir's exposition on AI accountability, emerging legal framework, and the regulatory roadmap for India was exceptionally insightful, relevant, and intellectually simultaneous. Sir has also addressed the Friday Group on several occasions in the past, consistently guiding us in navigating the complex and ever-evolving domain of cyber law and its multi-faced implication. I would like to place on record our heartfelt and special appreciation to Shesu sir, the admin of the Friday Group, for his unwavering commitment in facilitating such meaningful academic engagements week after week. His sustained efforts has ensured the remarkable continuity of this knowledge sharing platform, which has now successfully reached its 287th lecture, an achievement that truly deserves commendation. I also extend my sincere thanks to all esteemed members and participants of the Friday Group for their active presence and thoughtful engagement, which contributed immensely to the success of today's session. Thank you.
This is AI generated. You have not written anything.
Pavanji, your contribution for our Friday Group YouTube channel, 20,000s.
Thank you.
Now you can